I want to go back on something I just said a little bit. I want to push back on my own comment, essentially. Because I'm talking about how Nas is a little bit more gangster and aggressive lyrics and all. But at the same time, like I was saying earlier in the reaction, how much is this shit that he just saw with his own eyes in real life, And I always go back to, I always think about Ice Cube and what he said, back when they were getting all this grief for their lyrics, and everyone's so upset about what we're saying on our albums, but no one really seems to care that we're just rapping about our lives. No one really seems interested in trying to fix the actual source of the problem. Instead, they're just mad about what we're talking about, And so I have to check myself before I wreck myself, right? Speaking of Ice Cube, when it comes to this, because it's easy for me to sit here and go, oh, does he really have to say all these things? And it's aggressive and it's fine, whatever. But I mean, what if he's just literally rapping about shit that he was there, firsthand, witnessed, saw, experienced, So I basically say this to dial back my own criticism, because I should dial back my own criticism. Because if somebody's just talking about their life, I shouldn't be bitching about that, And while it's nice to hear somebody have a positive message and try and lift things up, sometimes life is shit and there is no positive message, So that little bit was taken from the It Was Written reaction by Nas. It's towards the end. It's at the end of Shootouts, my reaction to that song, Shootouts. I was going to put just a comment underneath this little snippet, but I figured I want to just talk instead, because sometimes people don't see the comments, but basically, I forget. And it sounds wild. It probably sounds even unbelievable at this point, having listened to hip hop for almost 3 years, but I forget that these are people's lives. I enjoy the music, and I am often, even though I try and remind myself, these people they're talking about whatever it is that they're talking about, it's quite possible and quite likely that these are things that have happened around them. And I forget. I come at this from a music point of view. This came up once on Discord a while back about how, me not having hip hop in my life in terms of a culture detracts from my ability to process some of the stuff in terms of the music. And I think there's truth in that. I think it's very true. And then also just my life being as different as it is from anybody who's lived in the inner city or any of those areas, right? I have no idea. I can't even wrap my head around it. I can't even hardly remember half the time. So really, I suppose this is kind of just a general apology to anyone who's like, Bob, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, you don't know what you're talking about. There are times when I don't know what I'm talking about, and I'm so unaware, I don't even realize I don't know what I'm talking about. It's one of those things, you don't know what you don't know. And not that, no, I haven't like upset anybody. I'm not like making an apology video because somebody got mad at me, but it occurred to me during that run through It Was Written. It occurred to me, here I'm starting to kind of get a little picky about gangster rap lyrics and this and that, and then I just remembered again. This is somebody's life. This isn't just these people don't just make well, sometimes they make shit up, right? Okay, sometimes they make shit up, and sometimes they say shit to sound hard, and that's all true as well, right? But it's also true that there's a lot of things going on in these lyrics that are just real. So I don't really know what I'm trying to say, other than I guess I just want to reiterate that. Like I'm not trying to upset anybody, and my point of view is strictly my own. And it is hard to, while I would love to be empathetic or sympathetic to people who've lived these lives, I just can't even imagine it. I can't. Just like I can't imagine being a fucking billionaire with private jets and private yachts and all. Like, there's just so many different aspects of life. There's so many different scales or regions or what do you want to call it, right? Tiers, whatever. And, I can't imagine being some sort of Olympic athlete. I can't imagine being a drug dealer. There's lots of things I can't imagine. And it's interesting how much your own like world perception shapes how you think, and how easy it is to take that idea or that general structure and just automatically and unknowingly apply it to everybody else and think that's how they all see the world too. Like we all see the world different from each other. We don't see it the way, this isn't all of us seeing it one way. It's all very different for each other. And it's a hard thing to maintain in the mind. You know, it's a hard thing to remember because it's so automatic. Oh, like Kitty went by. Anyway, there you go. I don't know how necessary this is. Basically, I wanted to say this. And so there you go. I've enjoyed listening to the music, but every now and then I get a little out of pocket and I just need to shut my yapper, you know? That's all there is to it. Okay. The NOS reaction is getting ready. It's uploading now. It'll be here very, very soon.